Well, we're talking all about mindset today, and I know you have a really interesting story. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and why mindset has been so important to you?
Sure. Well, frankly, it's my belief that 80 to 90% of a person's success in anything is mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the mechanical information, the vehicle, as it were. If it's, real estate or entrepreneurship or, whatever it is, that's just the smallest percent of it. It really is having the right psychology to actually take action, to push through fear, to push through limiting beliefs, to, maybe get uncomfortable. And so my story really started when I was 6 years old. I immigrated to this country from the Netherlands. I was born in Holland, wooden shoes and windmills. And we immigrated with my brother Albert, my mother's Vancia. We ended up in Denver, Colorado, and we really struggled. My mom babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat, but I remember eating expired food, and we had powdered milk with cereal in the morning, which, by the way, is just terrible. And we had, I wore hand-me-down clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school. I know other people have had it harder than we did. And, we had love and we had all the things that were important, but I knew I wanted more. And luckily, like I said, my mom had an incredible work ethic. She babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And she was actually a bit of an entrepreneur. With her babysitting money, she bought the house across the street from us when I was about 14 for around $30,000. And then she told me a couple of years later, she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. And I'm like, what? Screw college, Mom. I'm not doing college. I'm going to get into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18, and I was going to sell people houses. Well, my first year, I made about $8,000. My second year, maybe $10,000. But my third year, I made well over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? Well, what happened was what we just started talking about was I met someone that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology. And, and it had a huge impact on my life and my success. And fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses. I've rented long-term, done thousands of apartment units. In fact, we just went under contract on a complex last night in San Antonio, 269 unit B-class asset, beautiful asset. But, in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And, if you want to do the math on that, it's like $8,300 an hour on a 40-hour work week, which of course I did and bragged about. And I thought I was a freaking real estate god. And, when that happens, God or the universe or whatever you believe will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008. I lost that 17 million and a lot more. I lost everything. I lost $50 million conservatively. And so one of the things I enjoy talking about, Todd, is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. But maybe as important or more importantly is the mindset it took to recover from losing that. And so I'm happy to drill down on that with you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd like to hear about that, like how you went from that 8,000 to more, from with real estate. Then up
sure.
to
It really is. It's focus. It's knowing what it is that you want. For me to recover from it was reassociating with what I wanted and why I wanted it. So, you pick an hour when you have a lot of energy and you sit down and write down everything you could ever possibly want in life, all the stuff. And there's nothing wrong with stuff. And so the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes, just write it all down. But here's the thing, take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. Because what that does, just writing it down, triggers something in your brain called your reticular activating system. And that's that filter that filters out subconsciously what your brain thinks is most important to you. You're not conscious of this. But the greatest example of this is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them. You buy the car, you see them everywhere. And of course, they were there before. You just didn't notice them. So that's your reticular activating system. But again, take the lid off your brain. If you want a private island, a jet, a yacht, write it down, because there's nothing you can't do, be, or have in this world. You just have to declare it and decide and take action. That's it. And so write everything you can think of. Write down how much money you want from your multifamily investing career, either passively or actively, monthly, maybe, or yearly, whatever. How much are you going to have in 3 years in monthly income? How much are you going to have in 10 years in monthly income? Write that down. Write down how much money you're going to have in the bank in case what hits the fan fund, how much you're going to have in 3 years, how much you're going to have in 10 years, write that down. Also write down everything you want to do in this lifetime. Maybe you want to write a book, maybe you travel. Where do you want to travel? Where do you want to have a second home, third home, whatever? Write that down. I have a friend that's climbing every mountain over 14,000 feet in the whole world. Whatever it is for you that you want to do, write that down. So it's not just the stuff. I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane a year ago. Never freaking do it again, but it's off the list, right? So again, put that stuff down. Also write down everything you want to learn in this lifetime. Foreign language, again, multifamily, for God's sakes, come see me, but whatever it is, write that down. Lastly, write down who you want to help. Okay, we will do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. Since you want to use this, again, all of this is the fuel. That's what we're doing here, is we're creating a burning desire, like Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Think and Grow Rich. You've got to have a burning desire to push through that fear, to push through those limiting beliefs, to get uncomfortable. Maybe you're comfortable, and the comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing freaking grows there, right? So you've got to get out of it. And so that's why we do this. And so you've got let's see, where was I now? You're listing all these things, the things you want to do, be, or have. You're listing what you want to learn, and who you want to help. Like I bought my parents a house here on a canal when my dad was alive, bought them a car, took them on cruises. So make sure you write down who you're going to help. All right. And if you're analytical, which is very possible, on this show, you're analytical, don't stop and analyze your answers, your goals. Just keep writing. Don't let the pen leave the paper. You can always scratch stuff out later, but don't lose your momentum. And then once you're done, you need to put a time limit on each goal. This is the next step. You want to put how many years it's going to take you to achieve it. So just put a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20, okay? Recognizing that as human beings, we will overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, or 20 years, okay? Put a time limit. And in fact, I'll give you a great example of this. When I was 18, I lived in Denver, but I knew I always wanted to live on a beach. Okay. I'd visualize the palm trees and the ocean and the sand and all of that. And 20 years later, I built this incredible 10,000 square foot, $8 million mansion on the beach, where I owned the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. It was like a slice through an island. Spectacular. But that was unthinkable when I was 18. So again, take the lid off your brain. Just go for it. Whatever it is, write it down. Don't limit yourself. All right. So you put a time limit on each goal, how many years it's going to take you to achieve it. Now I want you to pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal when you get it, like, oh my God, this is amazing. That goal, you've arrived when you achieve that goal. Now, if there's 2 or 3 that are equally exciting for you, just pick one. It won't matter for this next piece of this, but pick one for sure. Then pick your top 3 one-year goals. Okay, pick your top 3 one-year goals. Put them all on a separate sheet of paper. Now, if you DM me and I give you my guide, it's all laid out there for you. But if you didn't, then leave some room in between the goals, because you're going to write some stuff underneath each goal. And at this point, you are ahead of 99.9% of the people on the planet that do New Year's resolutions, that 70% of which are forgotten by February. So you're already way ahead, but we're going to do a couple more quick steps that are critical. The goals are important. They will drive you. They will push you. They will pull you, but it's why the goals are an absolute must that you have to define. So you need to write down for each one of those goals why it has to happen. Okay. So and use emotionally charged words. Words are incredibly powerful. So you want to use them to do this. And so you might say, so I can show my wife what amazing success looks like. So I can show my kids what it means to live an incredible life of abundance, so that, we can have the freedom to do anything we want, to go where we want, to bring whoever we want, to do it whenever we want, whatever's going to juice you, write it down. Okay. And again, use emotionally charged words. Words are very powerful. But then once you've got a positive reason why each goal is a must, I want you to put some pain in there and make it hurt if you don't achieve the goal. You might say, so I don't fail my children. So I don't fail my husband or wife. So I don't feel like a failure. So I don't live a life of regret. So why do we do this? Because as human beings, we will do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And you need this fuel to get off your butt, to get up early, to stay up late, to do whatever it takes to make this happen for yourself. Okay. So, put on there. So I don't live a life of regret. Don't overthink all of this, guys. Don't overthink all of this. Just, put some whys down there. But here's why you want some negative reasons why. And I'll give you a great example of this. There was this nurse in Australia. She was a hospice nurse. And so she took care of patients when they were about to die, right? Well, she asked him a question, Todd. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. Her name was Bronnie Ware. You know what the number one regret was? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Guys, screw that. We do not want that. And this is what prevents that from happening. Because if you do all this and you get associated with your burning desire and you live a few years like most people won't, you'll live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay? That's why this is so freaking important. The last piece is you must get pictures of your goals and make declarations. And let me give you some examples. A great example is Jim Carrey, the actor, in Mask, the funny actor. Back when he was broke, he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And he used to go by the Hollywood sign and he'd look at it and he'd visualize cashing it. And that's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. I'll give you a more recent example. Demi Lovato, the singer. When she was an unknown, like 10, 11 years ago, she posted on social media, I'm going to sing the national anthem in the Super Bowl. Not this last one, the one before. Go see who sang it. I'll give you some personal examples for me. When I was 18, I got my broker's license and I was going to sell other people's houses, right? So I figured I had to have a 4-door car so people could get in and out of the car easy. And so I bought this bone ugly Ford Granada, piece of crap, bench seat in the front. But I figured that's what I had to have. But I worked with a guy who had a Corvette, actually had 2 Corvettes, and let me drive one. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I got a picture of a Corvette out of a magazine. This is before you could spell internet, and put it on the visor of my bone ugly Granada. So every time I sat in the car, it was right there in front of me. Within a year or two, I had a beautiful Corvette. And I'll give you a couple more examples. But like the house and the examples I'm going to give you, I'm not bragging here. In fact, this stuff doesn't even interest me anymore. But I just want to hopefully inspire you to what's possible. Okay. I know you're here to get technical knowledge, and I'm here to tell you this is way freaking more important than that. Okay. Again, this is how I had 50 million to lose. And how I got back to the success that I enjoy today was using this technology that I'm sharing with you here. And that's really what it is. Okay. It's not foo-foo stuff. This is what works. Okay. Yeah. So I had the Corvette. And this was back when the TV show Magnum PI was out there. It was before you were born, Todd, but it was a detective show with Tom Selleck. And he is the first time I saw an exotic car because he drove this Ferrari 308. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I got a picture of that actual car, put on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Last example. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. Okay. I had pictures of them, posters in my room growing up and everything else. And what's interesting is my son collected models of exotic cars, and he had a model of the exact same color and style Lamborghini that I got, which I ultimately wrecked. But anyway, get pictures. In fact, I'll show you something here because you do this on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah.
This is my planner. In the back of this thing, I use a paper planner. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. In the back of this thing, I have pictures that have been in here for 20 years. They're in plastic. Okay. Now the first pictures are my gratitude pictures. These are pictures of my kids when they were young. My kids are 30 and 26 now. So this is a long time ago, but here's why these are in here. Because everything you manifest in your life happens through gratitude. Okay. That's the emotion you have to use to get this stuff. Okay. And so they're my gratitude pictures. Then I've got pictures of the things that I want and this top picture looks just like the house on the beach. This is before I built it. I had 10-foot high glass like that was butt together, had travertine floors like that, looks just like it. Now I lost that house and all the craziness. Okay. But I live in a compound now. I've got 6 buildings. I've got a media building, an exercise facility that's off the chain. I've got a theater room. I've got, a big giant main house, 2-bedroom guest house, a 6 cars garage. I mean, it's a 2-acre compound. Now, what's fascinating is, well, first of all, what's funny is because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay that I lost. It's literally right out my backyard. And then I've got, let's see, watches. I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches that I've gotten over the years. There's the Lamborghini before I ever got it. Okay. Rolls Royce, Bentley, all this stuff that I got. Again, stuff that you may not have any interest in, but I got all this stuff because I had pictures. So go out, get pictures, put them around you, put them on the wall, put them on your screensaver, put them in your planner if you use a paper planner like this, because they freaking work. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm all done.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all that. And
Yep.
it's really, really powerful stuff. And I can see why. I can imagine people come into your, boot camp or something, and they think they're going to learn about real estate, and you start talking about goals, they might be surprised, but
if they know me, that's what my podcast just broke 11 million downloads. And the reason is I talk about mindset. Every week I do a clip called Own Your Power. It's 5 minutes. And even if you're not actively doing real estate, if you come join me, it's called Lifetime Cash Flow. If you put real estate in your iPhone, it usually podcast app in your iPhone usually comes up number 1 or 2. But I'll juice you. Give me 5 minutes a week and I'll get you motivated for the week. And I'm really proud of that. People don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's my goal is to make you feel and look in the mirror and become better. And so, it's just an important piece of what I do and frankly, what I love. And so there's hundreds of them there on my podcast.